Hello, my name is Rachel Bowers and I'm the manager of the Bath Film Office.
So I'm Nele Paves. I'm the film commissioner for Estonia.
Hi, I'm Adrovez from the City of Hamilton.
Hi, I'm Lynn Saunders. I'm the manager of the Liverpool Film Office.
And I'm Beth. I'm the Operations and Liaison Manager of the Film Office.
I am Beth Nelson, the Film Commissioner from the Savannah Regional Film Commission in Savannah, Georgia.
3, 2, 1. Hello, I'm this year's LMGI Awards Chair, John Rakich. We're here to talk to the LMGI's 8th Annual Awards Nominees for Outstanding Film Commissions. The people you're about to meet on this panel were nominated for their exemplary and creative work performed above and beyond the usual service provided to location professionals such as us all. Today, we travel around the globe, stopping in Estonia, Bath and Liverpool in England, Hamilton, Canada, and the city of Savannah in the United States. So we've got a lot of ground to cover, so here we go. Hello, Rachel. How are you, and where are you zooming in from?
From my home, which is in a small village near Bath.
Well, thank you for joining us. You've been nominated for your work on the first season of Bridgerton, so congratulations on that. Now, did you pitch your locations to the production, or did they come to you?
It was a mixture of the two. They came to us initially because they were looking for places that would stand in for London, for Georgian London, and Bath is a sort of pretty standard go-to for that. But when it came down to the nitty-gritty of the places that would actually fit into what the script was looking for, we were coming up for suggestions for that as well. We've got some classic areas which, luckily, because they've got the period architecture sort of 360, it means that they can be used in a lot of different ways by different productions. So we tend to take them to those areas first and say, look, if you do it that way, you can do that. And if you turn around here, you can do that. Because then obviously you're giving the productions a lot more sort of bang for their buck, really, that way. So the area that they used eventually for the modiste shop, and they did some market scenes, and they did a night scene and all sorts of things, was actually in a tiny little sort of square that's got all different bits of it that they could use.
Okay, well, how do you handle the request of the production to film during some of your very, very busy tourist seasons?
Because obviously, because it was a big drama and it was a period drama, we did have a lot of notice for it. But as you say, schedules flip. And so they were starting, it was going to be sort of early summer, and then it trickled on, and we're saying, oh, well, as long as it's not August, that's all right. And all of a sudden it was August, and you're thinking, oh, crikey. But we really just try and have a really can-do attitude, because we were so keen for them to come. We thought, well, we're just going to have to try and find a way to make this work. So it was a case of working so that really we could keep the access for them and for the tourists and everybody else that's working at the Bath at the same time. And that meant that there was a lot of liaison that had to be done with our tourist attractions. Luckily, several of them actually are owned, like the Roman Baths, by the council as well. So they're people that, they're our internal colleagues. So that worked really well. And we surprised ourselves, I think, in that, you saw it happening. And of course, for a lot of tourists and people that's there, they like seeing filming. And you think, as long as you've got really good security crew and marshals on the ground who are polite, helpful and well briefed, then you can get away with a lot.
Does it help then when the show becomes a hit in increasing Bath for tourism based on that show and any of the others?
Yes, we've actually been amazed by how many tours have now been set up by local tour guides, but also by tours that are coming in internationally and nationally. So that has been, a real thrill, because it's Bath is very tourist based, and of course it's taken a huge knock with COVID. and anything that we can do to help entice people over and show what we've got on offer. And you know that the Visit Bath, the tourist wing, actually got something like 70, 80 articles into papers and into onto the television, into news off the back of Bridgerton just in the first 6 weeks after the series launched. So it was just the tourism benefits weren't like anything we've experienced before, and that was, you know, really good news for the city.
What's the most difficult situation then that you face as the film commissioner in Bath?
Well, it's a small city, and it is very much, I mean, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the whole city. So we do have to make sure that people don't break things. You know, it's, but that we find that usually actually productions, you know, as long as we expect them to show what their process is, then we find that that works okay. But it's making sure that that fits in with all the events that go on, with the everyday life of everybody, that because there are a lot of residents that live in the city centre as well, and nobody likes having their parking taken away, do they? So it's getting all that sort of coordinated at the same time, I think is the biggest ongoing challenge. And of course with COVID as well, all the restrictions that came in over the last year with regards to that, and keeping the city open to filming was a whole other level. But we managed it, and filming did take place. So yeah, that was great.
Again, congratulations on the nomination and best of luck. Hello, Nele. It's nice to meet you. And where are you zooming in from?
Lynn, at my apartment. So it's lunchtime here. So it's really lovely to spend it with you.
Appreciate your time and chatting with us. Your team was nominated in particular for your work on the movie Tenet. For the opening sequence that took place at the Lynn Hall, what did it take to get that to happen?
Well, firstly, I would like to say that I think every film commissioner has their little sweetheart locations or landmarks that they would like to be used in worldwide projects. And Linnahall in particular was definitely one of mine in Estonia. It's a concert hall from 1980 when we built it for the Moscow Olympics, when we had the sailing regatta here, but it hasn't been used for anything for 10 years. So it's been completely empty, sitting there alone. But I mean, it's a massive 7-acre concrete structure and has a very unique look, sitting right by the sea. So it's really impressive work of architecture. And it was just, for me, sad to see it sitting there alone. And I knew also that the time was running out for this beautiful and important building. So I'm really happy to see that Tenet was the first to show this glorious building in a major film. But of course, when the location team found it, it really wasn't glorious in the state that it was in. It was completely unused for 10 years and quite derelict and empty and dark. So for us, it took a lot of work to get it to the shape that we actually saw on the screen. We had approximately 2 months to clean it, to test everything from air quality to mold to asbestos, to rebuild the stages and the moving parts, and then rewire electricity and so on and so forth. And also there was a major car sequence on the rooftop. So we had to hire an analyst who had done testing for the structure, how much weight it could hold and carry, and for it to be really safe for everybody. And safety for the talent and the team and the 4,000 to 5,000 extras who were there every day is obviously our top priority. There were so many details and work that went into it. I mean, it's always the case with old buildings, but in particularly, I think this one, it was quite a big challenge for us. But it's lovely to see Linnahall in the film, and it's being shown in all its deserved glory, because we, I think, all remember it from the old times when we used to go and see concerts there. So now to see it on the big screen is, I think, quite special for a lot of Estonians. And actually, in fact, it opened the doors for other productions as well, because we have another film shooting there at the moment as we speak. It's a completely different type of film, and they are using other elements of the building, and it will not look the same on the screen. But it's still, I'm happy to see this building in use at this moment of time.
With so much of this production taking place in public areas and institutions, such as the major sequence on the Pärnu Highway, what's your approach to keeping a balance with local authorities?
The major sequences on Laagnade, Pärnu Highway was another one in the middle of the city. But the biggest scene, was on Laagnade, which is our biggest highway in the middle of the city. I mean, I think it's our only highway which is in the city. It's also quite an impressive sight when you drive through it, because it's been carved into limescale, and you have the limescale banks, and then there's old Soviet style neighborhoods in the background. But it's also the most densely populated area of the town. So closing the highway was quite a challenge for us, and working with the authorities. So keeping the balance with authorities, of course, very important for us. But with this kind of project on such a scale, like Tenet was, I think the whole of Estonia was involved. So the balance was even bigger importance. We are a very small nation, a community rather. So for this project, we had to involve everybody, from the government to the local authorities to the community, and then the press as well. Because we hadn't had such a big project in Estonia before. So it was really rather challenging, as we had no clue, or anybody had any kind of clue, authorities included, what kind of reactions this would bring if we closed down highways and major objects. So, but then we are a very small nation, so reaching everybody in the authorities and also government level is quite easy. And I have to say, they dedicated a lot of time for us. Having face-to-face meetings. But then in the midst of all the negotiations, we had a general election and the government changed. So we had to start all over again. So it really wasn't smooth sailing from the start to the finish line. But again, there was a lot of support from the general public and press as well. And I think as a nation, we felt truly honored to be chosen for Tenet. And I think at the time, quite literally everybody in Estonia knew about this project, and there was a lot of excitement in the air. And I think how else would you be able to hire 5,000 extras daily who are taking time out of their day and work and life just to be a part of something exciting. So it was challenging. And for me, as a film commissioner for a small country, the balance involves everybody. It's the government, it's the authorities, it's the community, it's the film industry, and the press as well. So I think it has many more layers to it. But we made it happen in the end. I think everybody was happy with the result, and we got everything that we needed to make the scenes happen. And I think that's one of the advantages here, as we are so small, so you can reach everybody. And I really do mean everybody quite quickly, even if the government's changed. And you can make things happen with more ease and definitely less time. But when with Tenet as well, so to keep the community happy as well, the production had organized a film festival and also a film music concert. So the community who were in this area where we had to close the highway, so they could come and enjoy some entertainment for free for their efforts, I would say. But everybody was quite supportive, so there was not a lot of trouble at all from the public. So in the end, it worked out well.
What was your favorite project to work on since being the Estonian Film Commissioner?
Well, it's like I'd have to pick between my children, and I cannot not mention Tenet here. I started my job as a film commissioner approximately 6 months before my first meeting with Mr. Klaus Darrellman in Berlin about Tenet. So it was really, really soon. And coming into the job, I had on my imaginary vision board, I had 3 projects or directors who I would like to see come to Estonia. And having been a long time fan of Mr. Christopher Nolan's work, he was definitely on my dream list. I was just not expecting my dreams to come true so fast, to be honest. And I'm now just waiting for the other 2 to come around. But in saying that, I think Hollywood films are exciting to chase and dream about. And they bring such big highs and big challenges and big lessons with them. But in everyday life, I have to say that our neighbors and their continued support, and they coming back here all the time, I think that's very, very important for me. the Finns keep coming back to Estonia with new projects, with bigger projects. The Swedes and the Danish have now found us to be trustworthy partners for their films. And also the UK is dipping their toes in. So I'm happy to see more countries and more projects come to Estonia. So the more the merrier, and we really truly welcome everybody.
Well, it was an amazing movie to watch, and congratulations on such a success, and we wish you the best of luck. Hi, Kim, where are you zooming in from?
I'm zooming in from beautiful Hamilton, Ontario in Canada.
Thanks for being part of this today. Well, you've been nominated for your work on the second season of the Umbrella Academy, so congratulations on that. How do you handle the request to basically dress and keep dressed several blocks of the city of Hamilton for an extended amount of time to look like 1963 Dallas?
So generally speaking, I mean, a huge part of our jobs is educating stakeholders about the benefits of the industry and promoting the industry. So when this request came in that, you know, it's pretty big and could potentially ruffle some feathers, we really just tried to get the mindset right away of this is a great opportunity. This is a great opportunity for the community to be a part of something very cool. This is going to bring a lot of benefits. And so the very first thing we did was just start trying to do some outreach internally and externally to talk to people and say, you know, this is a great production, great locations team. We know this locations team is very personal, very professional. You're going to be able to trust them. This is going to be a little different than some other filming. It's going to be a bit of a long-term relationship that's going to be built, and the film office is going to be right here with you to handle any problems. In saying that, we also thought it was important to be really frank from the outset about what the impacts were going to be. So we did, and I mean, again, total hats off to the locations team that did a fantastic job of just preparing everybody and giving really detailed information in advance so that we were able to get ahead of some issues ahead of time. And from our end, to be able to go back and do some logistical planning in terms of, you know, just getting control of lights and getting traffic blocked and that type of thing. And that part was actually super fun because it was a little bit different than sort of in for a few days and out type of filming that we have. There were obviously some long-term needs, like being able to, for example, control streetlights a couple of times a month for a year. It's normally quite sort of complicated and expensive to have an electrician coming in and being on standby to turn things off. And so we had to sort of get creative with internal stakeholders and, you know, just talking things through and kind of having that conversation where the electrician's saying, oh, gosh, Kim, they're not on a switch. And then kind of an aha moment, and we actually rigged up a switch on a lockbox so that the production would be able to flick them on and off as they needed. So it was a lot of kind of thinking and planning through, but having a great locations team to work with and lots of information. Like I said, it was a chance to play and be creative and figure out solutions.
This wasn't the first time this series was in Hamilton. What was it like seeing several transformations of your town over the course of the last 2 seasons? Skipping times from 1964 to present day to the future, even sometimes in the same day.
It's really fun. I mean, it's as you know, and there's a lot of work that's happening behind the scenes. That's not always glamorous, and it's long days, but it's very, very fun to see it all kind of coming together. And you know, in this case, one kind of story that always pops into mind is, we are obviously in Canada, we get snow, and this show had to be Dallas in springtime. And so there was a shoot day where we had a big storm the night before, and we got dumped. We got dumped with a couple of feet of snow. So the locations team brought in a local power washing company, and I had this really great kind of time lapse of photos that the ALM had sent me, where it goes from being, you know, Hamilton in the dead of winter at 4 a.m. to being Dallas in springtime by, you know, 7 a.m. It was really kind of fun to see and very dramatic. And having been behind the scenes, I mean, we can be a little goofy, and, you know, for example, we have a pretty distinctive mural in our city hall that ended up showing up on screen as a restaurant. So now we just kind of joke if we have business at City Hall that we're off to the Tiki Lounge. But yeah, we're fans of the show, so it's very exciting to see it behind the scenes, and then it's really incredible to see it come to life on screen and see that kind of magic moment where the city and the locations kind of fade into the background and transform into someone else's vision.
Now, again, for that major closure, did you pitch that to the production, or did they have a street in mind, or was this some sort of collaboration of what would work best for both the needs of the city and the production?
It was very collaborative. So the locations team had filmed here for season 1, or the production had been here in season 1, and the locations team came and approached us early on, and we just sat down and really just had a coffee and talked through some possibilities. And Ottawa Street came up and they told us what they needed to do there, and we all just thought it was a really great fit. Ottawa Street is very, it's got a great kind of tight-knit community. There's lots of makers, there's textile artists, there's restaurateurs, there's a great neighborhood association, there's a great kind of community vibe between the merchants and a business improvement area association. And so we just sort of talked it through and thought, yeah, this would be a fit. And fortunately, the production liked it, and we were able to, they were able to go ahead with that.
So in an older version of our Compass magazine, there was an article called Jet Setting about that particular visitors planning vacations or to visit places where TV shows and films have been filmed. Have you witnessed the effect of that in your city?
Definitely. We get calls about it in our office from people who they're a fan of whatever show, they want to come to Hamilton, they want to know where whichever famous scene was shot. And that can be really fun too. And recently we had a mom whose daughter was a very big fan of a show, and they were coming from the southern US, so it was a big trip. And it was great because it happened where this show had filmed. They had filmed in kind of a higher end restaurant and close to a boutique hotel and some shops. So it was a fun break from what we normally do to be planning this little birthday celebration. And we know it's hugely popular. We're asked about it often. So we post roundups of some shows that have filmed in Hamilton and key locations on our website so that people can kind of self-serve.
Okay, well, thanks very much for this, Kim. Best of luck to you in the awards.
Thank you.
Okay, I just need you to give a wave goodbye. And that is it, quick and painless. Last issue of Compass, we had an article on set jetting. Basically the rise of visitors planning vacations based on TV show and movie locations. Have you witnessed any of that in the city of Hamilton?
Definitely. We get calls about it in our office from people who they're a fan of whatever show, they want to come to Hamilton, they want to know where whichever famous scene was shot. And that can be really fun too. And recently we had a mom whose daughter was a very big fan of a show, and they were coming from the southern US, so it was a big trip. And it was great because it happened where this show had filmed. They had filmed in kind of a higher end restaurant and close to a boutique hotel and some shops. So it was a fun break from what we normally do to be planning this little birthday celebration. And we know it's hugely popular. We're asked about it often. So we post roundups of some shows that have filmed in Hamilton and key locations on our website so that people can kind of self-serve.
Well, that's great. It's always fun to see the positive lasting effects of on-location filming on an area. Best of luck to you. Hi, Lynn and Kevin. Can you tell me where you're both zooming in from?
From Liverpool in England.
That's great. Thanks for being a part of this panel. So you've been nominated for the outstanding work you all done on the series Liverpool Tin Star. Have you seen an uptick in features and TV productions in Liverpool, and what could you attribute that to?
A boom at the moment. We've never been so busier. Liverpool Film Office was the oldest film commission in the UK, probably in Europe. We've been established 30 years. Year on in, we've seen an incline, but the past couple of years, it's gone off the chart. And there's thousands of hours of film and TV content now made in Liverpool.
The LM for the show, James Muirhead, has told us that the Liverpool Film Office also served as a cultural reference point, connecting production with key contacts that formed part of the whole story. With so much filming in Liverpool, how do you and your team handle so many requests?
We're maybe a team of 6 at the Film Office, but we're probably about 600 across the whole local authority and across the whole region with different expertise in each other. And as Lynn said, we're the longest established film office in the UK and probably the most experienced, so quite well established with the local stakeholders and cultural institutions and police force and so on and so forth. So we can cut down that red tape and that time frame that productions always need to get to the right people to do the right things.
We're a team. This is why I wanted him on the call. We can't do it individually. And we've got world-class locations. You know, we get producers from all over the world come to Liverpool because of the backdrop. You know, we've recently had The Batman in Liverpool starring Robert Pattinson, as well as Tin Star. We've had Peaky Blinders, Doctor Who, just all recently. So they come because of the locations, but they come back again, which is, I think, really key, because the experience they've had here and the warm welcome and the fact that between us we've got 30 years experience. There's nothing that phases us that comes from a location manager in terms of, can you close this, can you drop that, can you. So yeah, we've got a lot of experience and we get business back, which is the same with Tin Star. It was Tim Roth that began that change from Canada to Liverpool.
Yeah, so speaking of that, since the creatives were intent on filming the story where it was set in Liverpool, so what ended up being your most rewarding location and scene in that season?
Well, it was a reboot to a degree, but keeping the same feel and the same look. So when you watch the series set in Canada, you know, there were these sort of small people in this huge sort of wide landscape. So delivering that same creative in our environment, working with, you know, very early on with the creatives as well and the writers about where to do that and how to do that, was quite rewarding in itself. But we were able to sort of put a platform to locations that are probably not as universally recognised as Liverpool as others. So a lot of the coastline. So within the series, we watch it, there's big wide landscapes of, you know, the beaches and sort of various different elements, as well as the more recognised sort of urban section. So my favourite shot to, you know, there's an area called New Brighton, the beach there, and another area called Southport Pier, where the quieter, less sort of full-on scenes, but yeah, they're not things that are universally recognised as Liverpool, such as the docks and the city.
I thought it was the bars and the you know.
There's that as well. The wreckage for the bar, you know, it was quite good. You know, the Liverpool City Council and the region made quite an early decision that's always worked well for us. We don't censor any creatives, and you know what Tin Star did was to show a 24/7 vibrant city when they were doing them urban locations. So we got to go to all the bars, the nightclubs, sort of you know, snazzy sort of crazy golf places and things like that. So again, you know, these are sort of quite unique things, and it was, even though it's, you know, it's a quite content controversial sort of project for a city, but it was able to show, you know, a vibrant city, a 24/7 city.
When we were first established, because we were the first in the UK and Europe, we had no reference point. So I reached out to the New York Film Office, and we got great advice way back when. And a lot of that we still do today, where we don't censor content, and we try to project that a 24-hour vibrant city. And Tin Star, I think, did that really well.
The creative on Tin Star were intent on filming the story where it was set. What was your most rewarding location and scene?
Well, it was a reboot to a degree, but keeping the same feel and the same look. So when you watch the series set in Canada, you know, there were these sort of small people in this huge sort of wide landscape. So delivering that same creative in our environment, working with, you know, very early on with the creatives as well and the writers about where to do that and how to do that, was quite rewarding in itself. But we were able to sort of put a platform to locations that are probably not as universally recognised as Liverpool as others. So a lot of the coastline. So within the series, we watch it, there's big wide landscapes of, you know, the beaches and sort of various different elements, as well as the more recognised sort of urban section. So my favourite shot to, you know, there's an area called New Brighton, the beach there, and another area called Southport Pier, where the quieter, less sort of full-on scenes, but yeah, they're not things that are universally recognised as Liverpool, such as the docks and the city.
I thought it was the bars and the you know.
There's that as well. The wreckage for the bar, you know, it was quite good. You know, Liverpool City Council and the region made quite an early decision that's always worked well for us. We don't censor any creatives, and you know what Tin Star did was to show a 24/7 vibrant city when they were doing them urban locations. So we got to go to all the bars, the nightclubs, sort of snazzy, sort of crazy golf places and things like that. So again, these are sort of quite unique things, and it was, even though it's a quite content controversial sort of project for a city, but it was able to show a vibrant city, a 24/7 city.
When we were first established, because we were the first in the UK and Europe, we had no reference point, so I reached out to the New York Film Office, and we got great advice way back when. And a lot of that we still do today, where we don't censor content, and we try to project a 24-hour vibrant city. And Tin Star, I think, did that really well.
What's the most difficult situation you face as the film commissioner in Liverpool?
Well, currently, the boom in production in the UK has meant we've got great skills here and world-class talent, but there's a huge skill shortage. I don't know whether that is something being experienced across the globe with other film commissioners, but that's something, that's a challenge and we're aware of. As a traditional UK film office, we're moving more from provider to partner, so we're evolving. We're developing more into a sector development agency. So skills and training is going to be a big key part of our future activity, as is infrastructure. We've just built 2 studios. We never had studios before, where our history and a brilliant show reel has been based on locations. But as the city develops, you can't hang on to being a location backdrop. Those locations kind of come and go. You'll know that your members know that as location managers. So the challenge is now drawing production that would traditionally go to London up to Liverpool. We're only 2 hours on a train. That journey is not long at all. But culturally, that's a big challenge. So for all these huge US shows that are landing in the UK, tend to cluster in London or maybe in Northern Ireland. And the challenge for us is we've got great studios, we've got fantastic locations, we've got a skills base. Come and stay in Liverpool and enjoy the welcome, enjoy the hospitality, not just use us as a backlot for a couple of weeks. Yes, that's the big challenge.
That's great. Well, congratulations on the nomination and best of luck. Hello, Beth. Where can we find you zooming in from today?
Hello, I'm fine. I'm zooming in from Savannah, Georgia.
Well, you've been nominated for your work on the amazing production of the Underground Railroad. How do you handle the large scope and scale filming requests of such a complex show?
I think that the main thing that is important is lots of planning, lots of coordination, and a very close relationship with the location manager on the project. So we were very fortunate to have Allison Taylor, a location manager on the Underground Railroad, and she is very collaborative and just a great person to work with. And we realized the challenges that were ahead for us all. Filming something like that in the middle of a very busy city, going back in time, dirtying streets and all of that's involved. And it just took a lot of coordination.
What had to happen to allow the permission to shut down the road in front of City Hall, and how is this perceived by the public?
I think that one of the things that we do as a film commission that's been very, very successful for us is in the very beginning of the project, we host a lunch meeting with the production. For this one, we had the location manager, we had the producer, we had the director, all come from the production, and then the permitting authorities from the various municipalities involved, as well as the city department heads from police, fire, traffic engineering, all of those departments to come together in a meeting. The production presents what they want to do, and then they get feedback from these department heads as what the challenges will be. And it just really sets the stage for cooperation and collaboration, and everybody's on the same page, which really makes a huge difference in the success of the project. Always fun for people to watch. We're also a big tourist town, so the tourists get something extra to see on their trip. And I think for our community, the main thing is letting everyone know in advance so they can plan their commute, plan what they're going to do in their busy day. So we do a lot of notification through the media, through the neighborhood associations, the business associations that are involved. And so we put a lot of that information out so people will know what's going on and then they can prepare for it.
So what is the most difficult situation then that you face as the Film Commission in Savannah?
It's fun for people to watch. We're also a big tourist town, so the tourists get something extra to see on their trip. And I think for our community, the main thing is letting everyone know in advance so they can plan their commute, plan what they're going to do in their busy day. So we do a lot of notification through the media, through the neighborhood associations, the business associations that are involved. And so we put a lot of that information out so people will know what's going on and then they can prepare for it.
What is the most difficult situation then that you face as the Film Commission in Savannah?
For this show, I think the biggest challenge and of course our biggest success and what we're proud of is we were able to shut down a major arterial roadway that runs right in front of City Hall. City Hall was the Griffin building in the show, and it was just a very pivotal scene, and we shut that street down. And the way that it was successful was we said, well, it has to be done on a Sunday morning when things are quieter. The production was able to adjust their schedule so they could shoot it on a Sunday morning. And that really helped a lot to minimize the disruption to the city. But it was very challenging. And especially since we have a lot of hotels down in that area too, we had to make sure the hotels knew so they could inform their guests as they were leaving and entering the city for their stay. So it was very complex, but we have a great police department here, traffic engineering department, the city permitting office. Everybody just pitched in and really worked together to make it successful. And I think it looks beautiful on the screen.
This was an amazing show to watch. Congratulations on such a success, and we wish you luck.
We're very just thrilled and honored to be nominated. I'm just so excited, and it really is a great honor for our office.
Well, as location professionals and avid viewers, we sincerely all appreciate the hard work you all did in making these iconic locations and feature iconic locations available for the world to see. Please be sure to register to view the 8th annual LMGI Awards at locationmanagers.org. And well, before we end, I just wanted to wish all of our panel the best of luck. And again, thanks to them all for being part of this incredible panel.